Steve warms a cup of coffee to a temperature of 195 degrees Fahrenheit and then leaves it to cool in a room that is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. This equation represents the temperature of the coffee in the cup after X minutes. So X represents the minutes. Here's our formula. Question is after how many minutes, so that means we are solving for X, will the temperature of the coffee be approximately 141 degrees. So the 195 and the 75 are inconsequential to this problem. Really all those numbers used was they were used to develop this equation. But we don't really need to know how the equation was developed. We just know it works. They give us a t value. The only other variable that we have in this problem is t. They give it to us right here. So they want us to find x when t is 141. Should be pretty clear. The first step in this problem is to subtract both sides by 75. So let's do that. So we end up with 66 equals 120. E, remember E is a number, so that although it is a variable, I guess technically it represents a number. Divide both sides by 120 is going to be our next step, and at this point I'm going to want a calculator. But in fact, before I get that calculator, because this is obviously going to give me a decimal, we've got more decimals to come with this problem. We've got to e raised to the negative 0.05 times x. I don't know what is to come exactly, but I know more decimals. So I'm going to hold off figuring out that decimal because we only want to round at the very end of this problem, especially considering we've got two answers here that are really close together and two answers here really close together. If we round too early, we could get a false answer. So at this point, you should recognize that this problem is in exponential form. It's in y equals b to the x form. Looks a little different with that e, but nevertheless, it's exponential form. So our y is 66 over 120. That's the fraction that's to the left of the equal sign, so it matches up with the y. The base is the number we're raising to the x power. Well, that's e. E is our base, and our exponent, so that's our y, that's our b, and our exponent is negative 0.05x. We want to convert this to log form, except since this involves the number e, recall we're going to use the natural log. Because the natural log specifically is used for problems that have a base of e. Everything else is the same. So let's convert this. The base in this problem, and really it's going to be e, but really that should be b right there. But the base is e, so I jumped the gun a little bit. So it's going to be the natural log base e. The y value is 66 over 120, so it comes next. Equals x, which isn't just x, but it's negative 0.05 times x. So we're going to get our calculator out at this point. Remember, that base of e is assumed to be there when we're dealing with natural logs. So there is a natural log button on pretty much any calculator, but you can see it's right here to the left of the 4 key on a graphing calculator. We're going to take the natural log of 66 over 120, and we get negative 0.597. So you can see why we waited to round. Our last step to solve for x is we're going to divide both sides by negative 0.05. All right, then we're going to go and divide that by negative 0.05. We're going to save ourselves a step because that would be the next step. dividing both sides by negative 0.05 here. That negative 0.05 is attached to the x, so we would need to divide both sides by it to completely solve for x. And a lot of times when you're solving these, you can even put this in your calculator all at once, just so that you don't risk getting messing up with your decimal, essentially rounding too early. So I get 11.95, which that would round to 12. As you can see, that is the correct answer.